Secondary dominance and basic diatonic harmony. If you're a guitarist and you don't already understand these two concepts, you should. It's going to take us just a couple minutes. It's going to change the way that you see music composed generally and also give you a new trick for when you're comping. So right here we have the C major scale, right? Now this can represent a key center. In written music, if we see a key signature with no accidentals, no sharps or flats, we're ending up with the C major scale. And so what we can do is let's build chords by going in thirds. For you, thirds just means every other note of the major scale. So if we do that, we get C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, and D, D, F, A. Okay, so if we look at the chord qualities that we've just built, you'll notice that the first chord quality is a major 7 chord, minor 7 chord, minor 7 chord, major 7 chord, dominant 7 chord. It's the only place where it shows up, minor 7 chord, and then a half diminished chord, also the only place where this shows up. All right, now this holds up. If I were to build chords in thirds with the G major scale, I would get the same pattern. I would get G, B, D, and F sharp. And that would be a major 7 chord. And then this A would stay the same because it's also going to be a minor chord in G, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So instead of talking about specific chords, when I want to talk about chordal movements, like say the most famous chordal movement, a 2-5-1, right? Well, I'm just going to do what I just did. I'm just going to say a 2-5-1. And then we can say, okay, if it's a 2-5-1 in G, right, then the chord's going to be A minor 7, E dominant 7, a G major. Okay, but if it's a 2-5-1 in C, it's going to be a D minor 7, or G dominant 7, and a C major 7, okay? This is great because on guitar, we don't really think about individual notes to build up a chord. What we think about is a shape that represents a chord quality, and then we put it someplace on the guitar, right? All right, so here's the really, really easy part. This 5 chord, right? This chord that's a dominant 7, that's a special chord. When you have a dominant 7, like say a C7, it naturally wants to move you to an A major 7, or whatever the 1 is, right? That's this movement right here. This is called a 5-1 cadence. Great. So now what we can do is let's take that 2-5-1, but then we don't want to just like hang out on the 1 twice. That's typically how this progression is, right? 2 for 4 beats, 5 for 4 beats, 1 for 8 beats. But let's say I want to replace this with something that conveys more movement. Well, I can look at the 2 and I can do something called a 5 of 2. Ooh, this is sexy because now what I'm doing is I'm looking at this 2 chord and creating a 5-1 movement into it. So I have 2 5-1 movements, right? I have the 5-1 movement that brings us back to the top of the form, and I have the 5-1 movement that centers us in the center of the key signature. So what's a practical example of this? Let's take that 2-5-1 in C minor, right? We had a D minor 7 to a G dominant 7, C major 7. Great. So I want to put at the end of this a secondary dominant. Well, what is the 5 of D? Well, what's the D major scale? It's going to be D, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then G, and then A, right? Because whole step, half step, whole step. All right, so then I need an A7. There you go. That's your secondary dominant. That's all that is. It's just find the 5 of, say, the 2, or the 3, or the 6. The 6 is a common one. The 5 is 6, right? And then add that in, and it creates movement towards that chord. That's all secondary dominant is.